There definitely is a stigma about manufactured homes. I 100% believe in the next 5 years, you'll see that stigma turn around. I know building in a factory and factory built homes is the way to build a house. And I think you'll kind of see that flip flop. I think you'll see factory built homes become superior to an on site build for many reasons. Probably the simplest reason is it doesn't rain inside.
Hello, everyone. Rick Albert here with the key to the City of Angels. Super excited to have Trace McGuire here of the Home Gallery.
Hey guys, thanks Rick for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we kind of just dive right into it? What are you guys working on here in the LA area?
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of background on us. We are a high-end manufactured home builder. What that means is we build our homes in a factory. We build with all the same materials as a traditional construction, on-site construction. We just build it in a factory here in Southern California. What we've specialized in is kind of servicing Southern California. So Malibu, Agora, Palisades. We've had a showroom in Malibu for the past 10 years and a headquarters here in Agora Hills, but we do all sizes. I build 800 square foot ADUs all the way to 5,000 square foot main residences. So we handle the process turnkey. So that's a huge benefit for a lot of our clients. But yeah, we do really beautiful designs. I can do any style, size. So yeah, pretty cool stuff.
So then tell me what the difference is between these kind of manufactured or factory built homes versus your traditional stick and build.
Yep. So biggest difference is we're building them in a factory, in a controlled environment. Your typical traditional on-site construction, you have a crew that shows up and they, build your house over the course of a few months or years, depending on how it goes. We build our homes indoors in a factory in about 30 days. So biggest benefit to us is speed in a lot of cases. It's pretty cool to build a house, in 30 days, but also price. We're in kind of a crazy market here in LA and this kind of whole area. So we become an affordable option for a lot of people that want to do a new construction project, just because the traditional build and having a crew come for months and months just isn't affordable for a lot of people.
Now, do you guys also include the sewer line, the foundation? Is all that separate from the factory?
So we do everything. The factory builds the house, but any site specific work, we handle everything. So if there's any sewer, septics, any permits that need to be handled, we handle everything as a company.
So then basically in the factory, are you building just the walls? Like what I'm trying to figure out is, you bring in then people, the kitchen, the bathrooms, and that's your traditional build. It's just the walls out, basically. Am I understanding that?
Yeah, there's kind of a little bit of a difference on how we do it. There's the prefab umbrella of building homes in a factory. We build, a lot of people confuse us with modular. They say that we're modular. We build what's called manufactured. So there is a difference. There's the prefab umbrella of building indoors and getting the benefit of building inside a factory, but we build to the manufactured HUD code. So we build to a federal building code, whereas typically modulars build to state codes, and it's a little bit different on the permitting side. As for what we do in the factory, the home comes fully complete out of the factory. So we build our homes on these big steel I-beam chassis and multiple sections, but the home comes fully complete out of the factory all the way down to kitchen appliances, flooring, all that good stuff. The on-site work that occurs is once we deliver a home in however many sections, we spend about 2 to 3 months on site just marrying those sections and doing all the utility crossovers, stuff like that. Any finish work, drywall cracks, stuff like that happen in delivery. We do that on site. But the home itself is basically done out of the factory, all the way down to tile in the bathrooms to built-in kitchen appliances.
Got it. Now, how long is the process? Like, does the city, and every city's different, but do they operate differently because of the type of home being built?
So biggest benefit of what we do is this federal building code that we build to. So every city and county is different when it comes to permitting. You have areas where fire rebuild scenarios is happening much faster than, say, a new construction scenario. I have projects that we can get permits in 3 months in certain areas, and projects that'll take 3 years to get a permit in a certain area. But as for inspections and kind of all that good stuff, our homes are federally inspected inside the factory. So that's kind of your biggest benefit. We skirt a lot of on-site inspections that, say, a traditional build would have. So city or county is really only inspecting foundations and utility hookups. That's their biggest thing. We still have to abide by, foundations and utilities, but biggest benefit of building with us is we do have all of our inspections for the home inside the factory, and we show the city and municipality, hey, this is a federal product, this high-end manufactured home. We check off all these boxes, and then we just check off their boxes, which is typically foundation and site prep.
So then how long does it take once the plans are approved? You said about 30 days in the factory, and then how long to actually put it all together for someone to move right in?
So permits are your wild card. Every area is different, but once we have approved permits, I build the home in 30 days in the factory. At the same time, we're pouring foundations. Once the home leaves the factory, I have about 2 to 3 months on site. So my entire process is about 4 months. We're installing anywhere from 4 to 5 homes a month right now. We have that pretty down. So our process is 4 months, and then whatever the time it takes to get a permit. It does move faster in some scenarios because we, miss a lot of inspections and don't need to do certain things. But yeah, outside of permitting, we're about 4 months.
Okay. So I had to double check with contractors lately. Typically it takes like 6 months to a year to build a traditional home. And that's just like nothing special. We're not talking mansions. We're just talking a standard, maybe 3,000 square feet flat lot, and kind of call it. So, and how has the community like responded to this? Because like sometimes I can see people being like, well, I don't want a manufactured home, even though this is more factory built, right? Like, but the feeling might be the same.
Yeah, so I think the HUD code has been around since the 60s. It was a tool that the government brought around to bring affordable housing. Typically, when people think of manufactured homes, they think of your like single wide, double wide trailers,
right?
Which is what the industry has been, for the last 60 years. I will say we came at it from a different approach. We basically saw this building code as an opportunity on the permitting side as well as the build side. And we have spent probably the last 10 years doing the highest end of what you can do in this space. So if you check out our website, you'll see we don't build single wides, or double wides. We build really beautiful, really spectacular homes just using this building code. So there is a stigma, but I think once people start actually seeing what you can do and what we do, they start to really come around and say, oh, this is how you should build a home. One, from the standpoint of building indoors and building fast and efficient and the cost savings. But yeah, we can do basically anything that an on-site home can do. My only restriction is I can't do 2-story homes. We mainly do single-story homes.
Oh, interesting.
You can't really do a 2-story out of the factory. You can in modular. So that's a difference between like modular and manufactured. There are manufactured companies out there that have done 2-story in the past, but we just don't do it. But no, there definitely is a stigma about manufactured homes. I 100% believe in the next 5 years, you'll see that stigma turn around. I know building in a factory and factory built homes is the way to build a house. And I think you'll kind of see that flip flop. I think you'll see factory built homes become superior to an on-site build for many reasons. Probably the simplest reason is it doesn't rain inside. I see many projects near us that get fog and rain and animals living in the house while they're framing it up, whereas we build totally indoors and seal the home off within a week.
What is like the average cost to build one of these?
So here in Southern California, Malibu, Palisades area, our highest end homes and foundations, finishes all the way down to built-in appliances, quartz and granite countertops, floor to ceiling tiled bathrooms. My highest end home and foundation is around $500 a square foot. There is a tick down, when you start going down in finishes, that you can get it around $400 a square foot. But our best of the best that we're doing in Malibu and Big Rock and the Palisades is around $500 a square foot. And then you can kick down a little bit for areas like Altadena and stuff like that.
Which isn't that far off. It's about the same actually as traditional builds, but your competitive advantage is the speed. So you're making it up in the carrying costs.
Yeah, I think in areas like Malibu and the Palisades, I get bids daily in the $1,000 a square foot range, just because those are really hyper targeted areas where costs of goods are more than, say, Altadena. There is a price difference from Malibu to Altadena, but no, most definitely price and then speed. Speed is huge. I think carrying costs is something people don't talk about, but
never.
Carrying costs can kill a project. So the fact that we basically can move as fast as possible and do something in half or the third the time can make these projects feasible for a lot of people because they're not getting killed on carrying costs.
Because I was talking to some people about building on ADUs, like just a garage conversion is like $150,000. But then I'm like, but you also have carrying costs. You have loss of rent. You have all these other things. It ends up being like $200,000 to $250,000. Between the different costs. Now, you mentioned you're mostly in the luxury market, which is what most builders do. Why not go into the affordable market when that's really what politicians, like a lot of people want? So why not get in that space?
We've just been based here in Malibu. This is kind of our home base. I think we've cut our teeth in Malibu doing a lot of projects here. It's what we know best. As for the affordable side, it's definitely something we do and can do. I have projects, kind of scattered all around, but it just gets into a different style home. You start getting into those single wide, double wides that we talk about, whereas a lot of our clients are looking for the same style and look as a traditional home, just built faster and more affordably. So the affordable space is definitely there and people are doing it, but we've just kind of stuck to our roots here in Malibu and done mostly projects around here.
I mean, also to be fair, if it costs you $500 a square foot, or even down to $400, whether you're building in Malibu or in Pacoima, arguably your dollar goes farther in Malibu, right? Which is why we don't see building.
Yeah, I think there definitely is a cost benefit in other areas building in a factory, but we are in this little niche here in these markets like the Palisades in Malibu where we can produce something of the same quality for a much better price. But most definitely in the other markets, factory built is still, I think, going to be the forefront of building just because of speed and being able to predict certain items. I think carrying costs like what we talked about is huge. I think also there's a big topic of like change orders. I always tell people when you build a house in 30 days, there's no change orders. So I think that's a massive benefit. When you're building a house traditionally and it takes you 12 months to build it, the price will change. Prices will go up. I've never seen prices go down.
There's no incentive to.
Yeah.
Once prices go down, there's no point to changing.
Well, yeah, I don't know. But I think when you build a home in 30 days in a factory, there's no opportunity to come back and say like, hey, lumber changed.
Oh, interesting. I see what you mean.
Yeah. So that's kind of the biggest benefit here is, when we sell a home or do a project with somebody, we lock in that price of that house, which I think is a huge benefit because we've built houses outside of the factory and even personal projects, and it's never the price, that you start at, because wood goes up and nails go up and everyone's buying stuff from Home Depot and COVID happens, all that good stuff. So I think that's a huge benefit too, is when you're building these homes so fast, it's really hard to have any sort of change order or anything like that. So that's a huge benefit too.
That's fair. Because you're not buying all the lumber because it's not like you have space for it on the lot. So you bring it in as needed, but then the price can change during that time.
When we build a house, everything is custom ordered for the house. So when we put an order in, we immediately order all those materials at one time, and that home is built, in 30 days. So there's no real buying more materials in that process because of how fast they're building the house. It goes right through the line. So there's no real changes to be made.
Yeah. Now, are most of your clients actual developers, or are they mom and pop? I'm sure you're busy right now because of the fires, but in a normal setting, who's your avatar? Who's your clients?
There's a mix of clients. From the recent fires, most definitely we have a lot of fire rebuild clients. In a normal, day and age, we have a lot of clients that do ADUs, detached ADUs. I have a handful of investor clients that like doing investment projects. And then, your average person that buys a piece of land and wants to build their dream home. So it's all over the map. There's definitely all different types of clients that we have. As of recently, definitely more fire rebuild clients just because of the situation that happened. But yeah, all over the map.
For the investors, are they developers building to resale or building to rent?
It's funny you ask. I think everyone has a different appetite.
Sure.
There's your classic spec build, get in, get out. We have many of those. I have seen, though, a lot of our clients build to rent. I think in these areas like Malibu, Santa Barbara, Ojai, Palisades, when we build a home, much more affordably than a traditional build, they instantly see that equity. And, when you build a home here in Malibu for half the cost, you basically have that equity built in, and your rental rate doesn't change if you built it for twice the amount of money. So I think a lot of our clients that do build to rent, they hold them and they rent them, and they know that eventually one day they can, sell and get that return. But I think your biggest thing is if you build a house in Malibu for $3 million traditionally and can build it for 1.5 with us, you're not going to get, $30,000 for the $3 million one. You're going to still get the $15,000 a month. So they see it as a big benefit on the rental side.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. So how has it been building in the Palisades and Malibu, where are all these fire victims?
We have been really well versed in the fire rebuild space. The company was started before the Woolsey fire. Woolsey fire happened. We did a ton of rebuilds after Woolsey, kind of positioned ourselves really well just from that knowledge to what happened this past year. It's an unfortunate thing to say, but we are well versed in fire rebuilds. And that's because people want to get back to their home as fast as possible and do it for an affordable price. But no, the rebuilds have been great from the recent fires. Every area is different. Altadena permitting is a little bit different than LA City and the Palisades, and Malibu's different from both of those. Right. I will say there's a lot of talk about, everyone permitting faster because of fire rebuilds, but we're seeing permits in the Palisades in 4 to 5 months. Same with Altadena. Malibu is a little bit longer, but that's Malibu. Welcome to Malibu. But I think there's a lot of talk of, can it be faster? And, permits should be, gotten in 2 months. But that's pretty fast when you're talking permits here in Southern California. I have projects that are not fire rebuilds, and they easily take 12 months to get a permit or even longer. So the fire rebuild permits are moving really fast. I think, of course, the victims want it to be faster, and I agree. But getting permits in 4 to 5 months, it's moving. That's only a couple rounds of corrections, and you have a permit.
And you guys are handling the architectural plans, engineering, all of that. Is that in-house or outsourced?
We do everything in-house. I think our biggest benefit is we do all design in-house free of charge. So I probably meet with 1 to 2 clients a week that spent $50,000, $100,000 with an architect, designed this beautiful house. Maybe it looks like the Starship Enterprise, and then they go to get it bid out and they realize they can't afford it. So we made it a big push for us to do free design for all clients, just so we can show them what the price will be and help them make that decision. I think I love architects. We work with architects day in, day out, but I do think people need to go in with an architect and kind of know what the cost is going to be before they start getting crazy designing, because I see it on a weekly basis. I meet with people that spend a lot of money on design and can't build that design. So our biggest thing is we do all design in-house, totally free of charge, and everything else we do in-house. We do all permitting, foundation work, site prep, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I was talking to a contractor recently, and he said the same thing you did. Like, these architects are building this beautiful plan, but they didn't put the building, like, they didn't take it into consideration. And I see it in other spaces too.
Yeah.
Fashion, whatever.
I think architects are great. We work with them day in, day out. For sure. I have clients that come to us with architects and we work with them, but I see it on a weekly basis. You know, a client will design something that's beautiful and then realize that after they spent the money to design it, they go and get it bid out and it's this crazy number because of X, Y, and Z, because of the bifold doors and the 30-foot ceilings. So we kind of do it the other way. We basically design and price out everything and kind of just give as much information as possible to help a client make a decision.
Yeah, I would imagine that'd be more helpful. I remember with one of my past remodels, we were doing an addition and I wanted to do a bigger open space. And my contractor's like, just the beam alone is going to cost like $10,000. Are you sure you want to do that? And I'm like, no, I do not. Yeah, so we pivoted. It actually worked out great. But it's just, it feels like there's that big disconnect. So what are you, when you meet with people, I guess, like, how are the conversations happening? You're meeting with the person on site, and then what? Right? Because as a homeowner, most people don't know what to do. We don't know what the next steps are.
So in all aspects, whether it's a new construction project, an ADU, or a fire rebuild, we meet in person. We go over the project. We pull up site plans, floor plans, elevations. We kind of get what they want. And then my biggest goal is within a few days, I turn around floor plans, estimates, elevations, all that kind of good stuff to show them what an overall budget looks like. And then, of course, we're doing site visits, touring homes, and just kind of answering all the questions that need to be done.
Have you noticed anything consistent in the design elements between all these projects you're working on?
Everybody's different. Sure. What I've realized in this space is what you like may not be what I like, but whatever they want, we'll give it to them. I will say Palisades design-wise, you know, it's the classic craftsman style, but everybody's different. I have clients that like contemporary. I have clients that like craftsman. I have clients that like Mediterranean. It just really depends on kind of what they like and what they want to do.
Have you noticed certain styles are more expensive than other?
Our style,
for manufacturing,
our price doesn't change based on the style, which I think is a huge benefit too.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we're doing a contemporary style or a craftsman style, we don't change the price. There is little intricacies. If somebody wants like a Mediterranean, I can't do a tile roof out of the factory. So there might be an addition for a tile roof. But typically on styles, no, it doesn't change the price or anything for us. That's more so just kind of what the client's looking for.
Yeah. And how do you see this playing out going forward over, like, let's say the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, I think we're still years out from the Palisades being finished, right?
You're saying in terms of building in a factory or fire?
Yeah, like, you know, because it is hard to get the word out. There is that stigma, but I do hear what you're saying. I think especially people are underinsured, right? So they're having to come up with other solutions.
Yeah, I think in the Palisades or Altadena or Malibu, it comes in phases. We saw it after the Woolsey fire. There's people that know they're going to rebuild, and then there's people out there that want to see, you know, what different projects look like, what an on-site looks like, what a manufactured home looks like. The Palisades is rebuilding. Same with Altadena, same with Malibu. There's a lot of people submitting permits. If you drive into the Palisades, you'd be blown away at the amount of homes that are being framed up. But I think as more homes get delivered, and we start installing more homes, we hope that people will see them and say, wow, that's a beautiful home, and not even know it's a manufactured home. That's kind of our goal here is we build homes that nobody's going to drive by and say, oh, that's a manufactured home. I have inspectors that don't even know it's a manufactured home. So I think as more homes start being finished and delivered, I think it'll hopefully help the other people make a decision and kind of see, hey, I want that or I don't want that. But it's a process. I think with these fires, you can see, all across the United States in disasters, or even California and other areas in NorCal, there's people that don't rebuild, or there's people that don't rebuild because they just want to leave the land to their kids and let the kids sell it one day. But then there are people that will rebuild and are rebuilding right now.
Are the people in the Palisades, are these tend to be like new clients? Like, in other words, are they the original owners?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think a big misconception, Palisades, Malibu, Altadena even, is that people in Malibu have all this money. Or
no, there's a lot of people who live there forever.
A lot of these properties are generational properties that was passed down from their parents. So yeah, everyone that we deal with is in a fire rebuild situation is usually the one that was affected, and it was their house, and they want to get home as fast as possible. And then on the other end, now you're a year and a half past the fire, you're seeing the investors roll in. They're buying lots and they're coming to us and saying, hey, I want to build this. So yeah, it's a mix, but typically in these fire rebuild situations, it's normal people that unfortunately lost their house and want to rebuild.
Yeah. How are you guys planning for the future? Because one of the concerns people had was, okay, I rebuild in Malibu. What's to stop my house from being burnt down again?
Is a good question. I have multiple clients that lost their home, in recent fires. I think it's the 93 fire, rebuilt and lost their home again. So these high fire zones in California, you never know. I think the biggest benefit is because we build so fast and so affordably, it's not this crazy ordeal. I couldn't tell you the amount of older clients that we work with that went with us because they're in their 80s. I even have clients in their 90s that they didn't want to watch this project be built for the next 3 years. They wanted to live their last couple years of their life back home. So it makes it attainable. It makes it, possible to rebuild in a fast, efficient way and be back home. But no, as for, are you going to rebuild and another fire comes? I don't know. But I will tell you, a lot of people will rebuild and should rebuild to retain some equity. I think it definitely is a smart option if you can and can afford to do it, to rebuild and kind of hold some equity in the property.
Yeah, I think for most people, they're either forced to rebuild, right? Because if it's generational, it's not like they have the money to buy. I think the challenge for a lot of people is they were just underinsured, right? Like, most people don't realize when they look at their insurance policy that the price per square foot to build is too low. My understanding is most of the time the foundation is like salvageable as long as you build immediately.
So to go on the insurance point, for sure, I've never met somebody that's overinsured. Everybody's underinsured. And that's something that we take into account. And that's why people rebuild with us. I have clients that come to me and they say, hey, I can't afford this $1,000 a square foot price. What can you guys do? And that's why they rebuild with us. As for foundations, after Woolsey, that was a big talk, saving foundations. I never saw one get saved just because there's a lot of tests that have to go through. Typically, saving foundations is when it's an extensive foundation. So if you have caissons or a situation like that, we have projects in Big Rock that there is hundreds of thousands of dollars in caissons in the ground that we want to reuse. So in those situations, hillside projects where the foundation is going to be a lot of money to replace, we do try and save those. But on your flat lots, it's very hard to reuse a foundation. So it ends up almost being more cost effective to just pour something brand new for the new house that we're building.
That's fair. Plus, you also would then have to work within the existing footprint.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of these situations, it's the whole 110% talk. That's also goes back to, our designs. We customize every design. I have probably over 100 homes on our website, but we customize every floor plan and every house for every client. So we might do a variation of a house that's on the website, but especially for these fire victims where they're trying to stay within 110% of an original footprint, you have to do a custom design. I think there's a lot of really cool avenues out there, like pre-approved plans and stuff like that. But the pre-approved plan only goes so far if you're trying to max out a footprint or something like that. So typically in a lot of these fire situations, you end up having to do a custom plan to match that old footprint and stay within those fast track permits.
Got it. And most of your homes, all of your homes are single story. What's like the average like size home that you're building?
It varies. I build 1,500 square foot homes. I build 2,500 square foot homes. Every lot is different and every client's different. But yeah, that 2,000 square foot range, a lot of projects in the Palisades and Altadena in that size. Big Rock, you get bigger. You start getting into those like 3,500s. But I also have projects in Big Rock that are 1,200 square feet. So it just...
Is it cost effective to build that small?
Yeah, most definitely. You don't see a huge benefit or scale of economy in really small homes out of the factory because you still have to install kitchens and bathrooms and all that stuff. And there's delivery costs and stuff like that. So in our smaller homes, in that like 400 to 800 square foot range, there isn't a huge benefit on the cost end. There is on the speed and the time. But as we get bigger, our scale of economy goes down. So if I build a 5,000 square foot home, I'm building it for, $400 a square foot on the highest end. I think price per square foot is an interesting topic in our world because we build our homes in sections. So sections kind of determine price because if you have more sections, there's more chassis and delivery costs and stuff like that. So we do calculate price per square foot like a traditional build, but it does vary. I can build a 5,000 square foot home for $390 a square foot. So it's a hard question when somebody says, hey, what's your price per square foot? It's more so like, hey, what size house are we building?
And it's funny because like people use it for valuation and it's actually a horrible metric because it's the value of the structure and the land, but you're not adding to the land. You're only talking about the structure. So what do you mean by section? Are you talking about number of bedrooms versus number of bathrooms? Because that requires more walls, toilets, things like that. Like, what do you mean? How do you define it?
Sections is think about like a single wide. That's a single section. Then you go to a 2-section home, which is a double wide. We just build our homes. We basically play like adult Tetris and we stack sections differently and in different orientations to get a desired, footprint or house. So sections is just the chassis going down the production line, and that then goes down the road at 80 miles an hour.
Got it. So it's almost like puzzle pieces and then rearranging how you want, or like a prefab kitchen. Got it. Okay. That makes sense. Trace, this has been amazing. How can people get a hold of you, learn more about it?
Always check out our website. It's thehomegallery.com. There's a ton of stuff on there, 3D tours, galleries, all of our pricing's on our website too. You can also call us. Our number is 1-800-444-HOME. We have social medias. If you want to follow us, our Instagram is pretty fun. You'll probably see myself and Corey on there and the rest of the team. But yeah, the Instagram, you'll see a lot of behind the scenes stuff and delivery days and projects going on. But definitely encourage you to check out our website, give us a call, we'll schedule a meeting, and we can meet here at our offices in Agoura Hills.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, of course. And thank you everyone for watching. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Want to keep unlocking the secrets to building real wealth in Los Angeles? Stick around for the next episode. Tap the video on screen to keep watching.